somebody in a bar, you pick up somebody off the street, and you have sex with them, and they kill you, you know, there's such a limited number of people that actually saw that act. You know, maybe somebody saw you get in the car, maybe somebody saw you in the bar with person X, you know. But boy, I tell you, the least of it. Big issue. Sexual habits, obviously, that taps into prostitution and other areas. The overall personality of this person, you know, introverted, extroverted, how do they interact with people? Because it's important to know maybe how they react to crisis or stress situations, because that's probably the mode they went into when they got attacked. If it's a homicide where you don't have the person to interview. And so how do you get that information? You tend to get it from talking to mom and dad, brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and that sort of stuff, to find out, you know, what are they like in a crisis sort of situation. Alcohol, drug use, family and marital status, age, occupation. Last seen where and with whom, which I just touched on in these gay and prostitute homicides. All real important stuff. The other thing that you know is an important thing to say, because television and movies tend to make a lot of this stuff so easy to gather, and the difficulty is this stuff can take forever to gather. And if you follow Chuck and I around for a day, you know, you might get bored. I don't know, you might not. Because we do, there's tons and tons of interviews that aren't real exciting on their face, you know, but they're little pieces of information that we can plug into this pie that we're building. And, you know, somebody asked me recently how much of our lives are like a television show or a crime movie. You know, probably 2 or 3% maybe, and the other 97% is spent on a lot of this boring, standing, watching, interviewing sort of stuff, you know. The profiling process. An initial assessment, that's where Chuck and I, if a local department came to us and said we have this unsolved homicide or series of homicides or series of sexual assaults, we'll collect all this stuff from crime scene photographs, autopsy reports, police reports, interviews with principal people in the case, and take all that down to Quantico, and we'll lay out the crime scene photographs, and we'll send them a package that we've already read, that they'll read. We'll bring the primary investigators of the case down to Quantico with us, and we'll look at the whole thing. And hopefully at the end of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours, we can give the investigator a little more insight as to what they're looking for. And what usually happens is that we'll come up with a list of things like go back and re-interview these 3 people. Or go back, there might have been something forensically that wasn't done. Go back and send this back to the lab and have X, Y, and Z done to it. And then come back to us if you want after you've done all that, and we'll look at it again. So it's like you do an initial assessment, you make recommendations, they go out and do what you recommend, you come back and you sort of refine the profile. And that's really, if you do this sort of like Chuck and I do it, which is, you know, a lot of these cases that we're beyond profiling, we profile them and we actually work them too, is that you're constantly sort of adjusting what you've got. Homicide types, organized, disorganized. You guys know the difference between an organized homicide would be where somebody, you know, with some premeditation sort of sets up exactly what they're going to do, where they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, where they're going to put the body, if they're going to move it, that sort of stuff. Versus disorganized, which is there's not a whole lot of pre-planning. It's maybe just sort of goes together at the last minute, maybe like the gay homicide I was telling you about with the guy who was hogtied. Or you also see these with, for lack of better terms, crazy people who commit homicides that are psychotic and they're doing a lot of bizarre thinking. Their crime scenes just tend to be disorganized because they can't hold a thought more than 5 minutes. So, in the initial assessment, you can come up with hopefully the intent/motivation. Why did the person do it? What was their drive? And you can figure that out. Sometimes it's just not that difficult to maybe figure out. They're connected to the victim, and that's what you hope for, actually. In cases, you hope and pray sometimes that there is some connection between the offender and the victim, because it just gives you more linkage of people to talk to. It's these what we call stranger assaults or stranger homicides that are the more difficult ones, because the linkage to her, if she's the victim, is just going to be what happens right now. If we had a relationship, she's known me for a long time, that sort of thing, you can gather a lot more information, obviously, because there's a history of us out there. So, victim risk, we've touched on that, offender risk. Some of these crimes, obviously, are real high risk for the offender because of by the very nature of they do them in public, they do them outside, they do them during the day, more people can see what they're doing. Victim-offender interaction, what happened in the room? How did it start? What was the possibly precipitating or motivating event or factor? Did the victim struggle? You'll see particularly in shootings too, but more in knife attacks, where there'll be a lot of wounds on hands because of defensive wounds. That obviously tells you that the person put up a struggle for a while. It'll also tell you maybe the type of knife the person used, or if they used more than one knife. And escalation, in other words, and this kind of plays in two places. Escalation, one, if you've got a serial case, or we call them pattern cases, where you've got multiple sexual assaults or multiple homicides, they may change or alter, and many times get a little bit more sophisticated, or subtly sophisticated from one to the other, or they'll get more violent, because as Chuck was saying, and accurately so, these, I'll call them psychologically motivated crimes, are driven by fantasy, and people's fantasy world changes. It many times starts to grow, and it takes more to fulfill your fantasy, where you just maybe didn't kill the person, or you mutilated them a little bit, so now you're going to kill them and cut them up. I'm being extreme, but that sort of thing to keep the fantasy part going. Demographics, physical characteristics of the offender. You can sometimes figure out the actual habits based on things that were found at the crime scene. You can also sometimes figure these things out based on the type of crime that it was. Now, when I say that, in other words, some of these prostitute homicides, some of these gay homicides, because of the lifestyle that the victim led and the lifestyle that you can pretty much figure out the offender led, you can generalize many times that they're probably a cocaine addict or that sort of thing, that sometimes can be helpful when you start looking at offenders. The thing that we tell police officers, we actually have to tell each other this regularly too, is that none of the stuff is cast in stone. None of it is this is just the way it is. It's just some thoughts, some ideas. It's supposed to help you guide the investigation, And this whole area of profiling, I think, sometimes gets a bad rap because, we'll come up with characteristics of an offender and they don't end up doing that. Well, we're not, unfortunately, we're not like the X-Files. We're not psychic. I wish I were sometimes, but sometimes we're wrong. Well, my response to that's just the way it goes. We had, and many times we don't have all the information. It's part of the problem. That key pieces of information, of police reports, toxicology reports, the things that were done at the autopsy, or things that were done at the crime scene, we don't have. So that's like pulling that piece of the pie out, and you don't have it when you do the assessment. Pre-offense behavior, post-offense behavior, in other words, what happened prior to the act, and what happened after the act. What did the subject do? And Chuck was talking about earlier, people at crime scenes. It made me think, and maybe the bad guy coming back to the crime scene or being the one who reports it to the police. We have had cases where we've gone to the media and asked them to pull their tapes of that crime scene, and we'll go around and we'll spend a lot of time looking. Who was there? Who showed up at this crime scene? Because sometimes you'll eventually get to the offender who actually came back to the crime scene to sort of relive what he has done. What she has done. Just to sort of sum up this part of it, you do a profile, you go out and you refine the investigation, and then you reassess the profile, which, as I said earlier, can be just an ongoing thing. It's not just doesn't stop at one point. So.
Well, we'd like to thank them all for thank them both for coming, and we're going to give them a T-shirt. So. If you're out on the job, don't wear this. It looks like a target on the back. We really appreciate it, and I'm going to say something else. Thank you. I don't think anybody that was going into criminology wants to do it after that. But thank you so much. Thank you. As soon as we clean up a little bit, we'll have a little bit of time to ask some questions of Stephen Williams. And when he's finished, we'll form a line out to the door here. He's going to be behind a table where you guys can have autographs signed. And we've got some photographs of him that you can purchase that he'll sign along the way also. Okay. What is your name?
Screen name or real name?
Oh.
Angie Fair, and my screen name is Angie 1010.
All right. Is this your first time?
No, I've got 3 of them. I went to San Antonio, and I went to Orlando, and this one.
Okay. I noticed you've got a badge on there. What's that?
My friend went to the FBI demonstration, so she brought back badges. And we haven't quite made it there yet. We've been walking all over the place and taking the metro and being geek tourists and everything, so it's been real cool.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty good. Let's see. What did you think of the movie?
Loved it. It's the 6th showing last night. A bunch of us went to the movie down at Union Station, and I just lost my mind over it. First time I saw it, I went with 2 friends, and we came out and we were so jittery. We were like, okay, we're going to have lunch, and then we're going to go see it again. So we went twice, like one right after the other, and it was great. I loved it. I can't see it enough. It gets better every time you view it.
All right. Besides Scully and Mulder, who are your favorite characters?
I love the Lone Gunman, but only collectively, because I can never remember their names. You know, Frohicke's easy, but I get Langley and Byers mixed up. So I'm useless as far as that's concerned. But Skinner's also good. If we're talking hotness factor, Skinner is right up there with Dave. Well, he's not with David. He's nowhere near David. But he's kind of up there. He's above Nick. He's way above cigarette smoking man, so.
All right, well, I guess you're having a good time here?
Yes, I'm having a great time.
All right.
People are all crazy.
Is this your first time to D.C.?
No, I've been to DC a couple of times before, but never actually being able to tour it with friends. You know, it's always been the family drags you to the things you don't want to see. So now we're just being stubborn and crazy and doing whatever we want to do.
All right, well, that sounds pretty. If there's something else that you could say to the people that didn't make it, what would it be?
Come to LA. You have to be to LA. I'm going to be aggravating for the next year about this. You got to come to LA.
All right, well, I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hello, and what's your name?
Paul Leone,
Online name?
Lancer 4120.
All right, is this your first X-Files convention?
No, this is my third one so far.
You still with Melissa Kateers?
Yes, I am. There's kind of dwindled away, but we're still hoping she'll come back one day.
All right, have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times so far.
What do you think?
It was all right. I wish it could have been better. I think there have been episodes that have been much better, and I was kind of disappointed, but it was pretty good.
Is this your first time to D.C.?
Actually, I go to school in College Park, Maryland, so I'm right near the area.
So you've been here quite a few
Yes,
times.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah. First time in the Watergate, though.
First time in Watergate. What do you think of it?
Oh, it's a great hotel. I'm really glad they were able to get us here.
All right. Let's see, I guess we know that Melissa's your favorite character, but since Melissa, is there anybody else?
I'd have to say I'm a pretty big Scully fan. I don't really like Mulder too much. Probably going to get me shot, but I don't. And that's, yeah, definitely a big Scully fan.
All right. Well, let's see, if there's something that you could say to the people that didn't show up, what would you say?
You're really missing a good time. Hopefully you'll come next year to Los Angeles. I think that's where it's going to be, and definitely worth coming.
All right. Well, I certainly thank you very much.
No problem.
Hello, and what's your name?
XFF sign-up, Karen.
All right. And how many conventions or X-Files gatherings have you been to?
I've been to all of them.
All of them.
All of them. Las Vegas, Orlando, San Antonio, D.C. All of them.
How long have you been online?
Since the second season. Since before the second season started.
How long have you watched the show?
Since the first season.
All right. Is it your first time to D.C.?
Yes, it is. I have. It's kind of a weird, surreal feeling because you see it all the time on TV, and it's like doesn't really exist, and now you're here, and it's like, wow, it's really that big. So it's just a weird feeling.
Do you have a favorite episode?
All of them. I can't pick one.
Do you have a favorite character besides Scully and Mulder?
No. Well, if I think about it a bit, Krychek, I guess. He's cool. In a bad kind of way.
Okay. If there was something that you could say to the people that weren't able to make it this time, what would it be?
Same thing I say every year is you're missing a great time, and you gotta save up for LA next year. You gotta come to LA.
All right. Well, I thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
A little past time for the start of our next contest, and I'm guessing we've got all our contestants ready. We're first going to judge our best Mulder impression contest, and for our first contestant we have Philip Smith. There he is.
No keys, okay?
This was Scully. I'm also off the train somewhere.
Okay, and before we judge our Mulders, we'll do our Scullys. We can start with Maura LaPlante as Agent Scully.
I love Scully.
Her hair was red, too red.
Moira.
There she is. And our next lovely contestant is Mrs. Julie Smith as Agent Skull.
I love the handcuffs.
All right, thanks.
We judge him.
I don't know, my brain is hurting. We're getting a quick photo of Scully's and Mulder's.
Scully's and Mulder.
Photo of Scully, Mulder, and Scully. Oh, it's
Too much Scully for this one.
Mulder's sandwich! A menage a trois with Scully?
So it was cloning experiments.
Yeah, there's two of us.
Hey, where's your implant marks?
Oh.
Okay.
You guys have the keys?
I've been
Keys?
We don't need no stinking keys.
Not sleeping in our room.
I guess I'll do it in the room.
How you gonna
Keys yours now. We are in a very strange place right now.
You're telling me. We started out.
Our fine contestants, let's give them all a hand. There we go. Now the hard part, we have to vote. Now for Scully number 1, Miss LaPlante. Let's have a round of applause. Our Scully, Mrs. Smith. A round of applause. Do we have a clear winner here?
Secret ballot.
I would call this one a tie. Does anyone, everyone agree?
Yeah.
Now to vote on our favorite Mulder.
All right,
Very
well,
good.
I'm stuck with him now.
That's a bad thing?
An unintended side effect of this little contest.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go. Thank you very much. Yeah. No, we've got it. Just kind of speak up. You're good. Okay, everyone. We're getting ready for our skit contest now. We have 2 groups who are going to be putting on a show for everyone. And Adela Parra is going to introduce the players in our first little drama. Adela?
I'm Adela, and I helped write this scene along with Sybil Solon. And Maura LaPlante is going to be playing Scully, and Sybil Solon is going to be playing Mulder. And just a bit background into this scene, it was written by Sybil and I because of all the stupid things that Mulder does and says. Okay, so just to let you guys know that, all right?
I'm gonna borrow your bag. Just going to borrow for 1 second. We're not gonna go through it or anything. Hey, she's got ice cream there.
Actually, a little farther back.
A little further?
Ice cream.
Over here?
Fine.
Astronaut ice cream.
She can't eat ice cream. That's
Okay, we got a new weight here, dear.
Okay, that's all good.
Okay, hold on.
What's that smell, Scully?
How much do you weigh, Mulder?
About 210.
Mulder, you're such a liar. You put in at least 15 pounds as I dragged your black and blue ass out of that bar.
That woman had at least 50 pounds of me, Scully.
What the hell do you want now, Mulder?
It's just always been a dream of mine to see you all hot and sweaty. I just came out of Director Skinner's office, and it looks like we're off the hook about that whole mushroom thing. I've been given a clean bill of health so we can go on our next assignment.
That's what you get for tasting things, Mulder. That's why I wear gloves. I thought by now you would have learned your lesson. The iodine, the raspberry syrup, the bile, foxglove.
I've been meaning to ask you about that. Do you keep those things under your skirt or something? I mean, if you have, can I watch you put on your clothes tomorrow? Just to see your superior latex knowledge.
Mulder, I'm kind of busy.
Oh, right. Well, I got a call from one of my sources, and there's a man in Iowa who bends spoons. He bends spoons, Scully.
Mulder, I have something to tell you. I bend spoons too.
And you've never shared this?
I bend at least one spoon a week digging into my Ben and Jerry's.
Scully, the man bends spoons.
Damn it, Mulder! Can't you hold on to anything? I told you not to touch my stuff. Who's breaking my things?
Hey, this is my 721 nude kickboxers. And this is my genetically mutated hard bodies. Scully, these were in my desk. They were in my desk, not in your area.
Are you suggesting I put those things there to understand you better?
Are you suggesting there's a scientific explanation?
Must be an X-File.
We have a 2:15 flight to Iowa. Get those little legs moving.
Don't worry, Mulder. I'll catch up to you when you trip. Or I'll run after the car.
Scene. And thank you very much.
Okay, next up, Catherine Ariel is going to introduce our next...
No, it's Abel. A-B-E-L.
Abel.
Like Cain and Abel?
I cannot read. Okay. You guys go for it.
Hello, this is Marita Johnson reporting to you live from a secret meeting place somewhere in Manhattan. With me is all the main characters from the hot popular TV show, The X-Files. I am now going to ask each of the people individually for their answers to one of the most puzzling questions of all. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around, what does it sound like? Here's our first character to answer, Fox Mulder.
Hello, everyone. Marita, is this appearing on the Playboy channel?
No, CNN.
Damn. Oh well, here's my answer to the question. It'll probably sound like a laser cutting down a large object.
How is that?
Well, you see, the EBEs are cutting down all the trees of this terrestrial sphere to make humans stop using sheets of paper. The reason why the aliens want to destroy our precious paper is
Okay, well, let's get back to the conspiracy idea later, Fox.
Would you call me Mulder?
No.
Come on, all right, get out of here. No government can handle the truth.
What a dumbass.
Project. Man, what stuff is he on? Moving right along, the next person to answer the question is Dana Scully.
Hello, Marita. Let's get down to the point. There's no real answer to this ancient question. This is because since there are no living human entities near the event of the tree falling, there's no real answer. However, by observing the event of another tree falling, I come to the conclusion that...
That's great. Now let's go to Walter Skinner.
Now you listen to me, you bitch. The damn tree fell and I want answers. You have 24 hours, you understand?
I didn't do it! What a weird group of people. Anyway, here's the cancer man to answer the question.
There is no tree.
Sir, of course there's no tree. This is just a question.
There is no question either. So I suggest that you forget about thinking up this question and get on with your miserable little life.
Okay, that's enough. Here's Alex Rat Krychek.
All right, who is the wise ass here?
I thought that was your real middle name.
Well, it isn't. Here's my answer to the question. Sounds like a gunshot.
A gunshot? How do you figure that?
Well, you see, I was there. I shot everybody who witnessed the tree fall.
Krychek, I warn you that lying on this broadcast is against...
You saying I'm a liar?
Yeah, that's what she's saying, you dumbass.
Shut up, Skinner.
That bastard! I'm gonna get you, you little bastard.
Oh, okay. Whoa, I think we should move on. Now we're going to speak to the trio of paranoia, the lone gunman.
We're not paranoid, we're just informed.
Sure, okay, whatever. Ringo Langley, why don't you answer the question?
Surely. Okay, you see, the tree was in the center of a cosmic energy gravitational area where the government was harvesting the energy to use it as the ultimate
Let me
weapon.
guess, you hang out with Mulder.
Yeah, you like him. His ideas are weirder than ours.
Well, John Byers, why don't you answer next?
One word answer. DOD.
You